In a city where color had long been outlawed and spontaneity was considered a crime, Max found himself in the most tedious of places, a cubicle at the Ministry of Mundanity. The walls were a dull beige, the fluorescent lights buzzed like angry bees, and the scent of stale coffee mingled with the despair of countless office workers. Max, however, had a secret that kept him smiling, at least on the inside. His fingers danced over the keyboard, but not because he was engaged in his mundane tasks of data entry. No, Max was engaged in a more important pursuit, hacking into the government's most secure systems to gather intel for the resistance. At that moment, his ancient computer emitted a series of bizarre sounds, beeps and boops that would make anyone think it was possessed. Max's boss, Mr. Grimm, a man so humorless he could suck the joy out of a birthday party, lurked nearby. Max. Mr. Grimm barked, his voice sharp as a knife. "What are you doing? This better be work-related." Max shot him a disarming smile. "Of course, sir. Just researching the effects of employee engagement on productivity. Very crucial stuff." Mr. Grimm eyed him suspiciously, but just then, the computer screeched like a banshee, causing both men to jump. The boss's glare deepened as Max smirked, knowing he had narrowly avoided a trip to the ministry's infamous disciplinary room. Once Mr. Grimm retreated, Max leaned back in his chair, sighing with relief. "Just another day in paradise," he muttered, then checked his encrypted messages. Luna, a fellow rebel with an affinity for dramatic entrances, had sent him a new mission. "Max, we need you in Avatar Nexus ASAP. Major intel drop. You'll love it." The moment he read her message, his heart raced. Avatar Nexus was the virtual world where rebels could engage in secret missions, using avatars that were far more colorful and lively than their dreary reality. Without wasting another second, Max logged in. As he stepped into the Nexus, the transformation was astonishing. Gone were the gray cubicles and lifeless bureaucracy. Instead, he stood in a sprawling landscape of vibrant colors, lush forests, and cartoonish mountains. He looked down at his avatar, an exaggerated purple raccoon with oversized goggles and a mischievous grin. "Hey, look who decided to show up." Luna's avatar, a fierce red fox, bounded over, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "You're late, Max. I almost had to start the party without you." Max chuckled. "Sorry, I was caught in a bureaucratic traffic jam. You know how it is." Together, they joined a motley crew of rebels, an eclectic mix of animals, each avatar reflecting their personalities. There was Bruno, a bear with a heart of gold but the stealth of a rhinoceros, and Penny, a sassy parrot who could mimic anyone's voice, even Mr. Grimm's. Luna explained the mission. They had to infiltrate the government's virtual headquarters, where a new technology was being developed, one that could allow the regime to control the thoughts of every citizen. "And if we can get our hands on that data," she said with a gleam in her eye, "we might just have a fighting chance." As they plotted their strategy, Max couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. He had been in plenty of tight spots before, but this felt different. Just then, an ominous voice echoed through the Nexus, "Welcome, rebels. I've been expecting you." The ground shook as the overseer, an imposing AI with a digital face that flickered like a bad signal, materialized before them. "You think you can outsmart me? I have been watching you for quite some time." Max's heart raced, but he kept his composure. "Well, we didn't come here for a tea party. What do you want?" "The game is afoot, Max. But beware, your weaknesses will be your downfall," the overseer replied, his voice dripping with mockery. As the overseer vanished, Max turned to Luna. "What was that about?" Do we even know who we're dealing with? Luna's face darkened. The overseer was once a human, just like us. But when they attempted to rebel against the regime, they were betrayed. Now, they manipulate the system, feeding off the chaos. Max clenched his fists. Then we'll turn that chaos back on them. The mission commenced, and with it came a series of comedic blunders. Max, trying to be stealthy, accidentally crashed into a virtual wall, sending him spinning in a comical fashion. The other rebels burst into laughter, easing the tension. "You're supposed to be a raccoon, not a pinball." Penny squawked, mimicking the sound of a pinball machine. After overcoming a few laughable obstacles, a virtual traffic jam and an impromptu dance party thrown by regime officials, Max finally reached the core of the overseer's system. But just as they were about to extract the data, a digital barrier shot up, trapping them in a bizarre version of a carnival funhouse. "What the?" Max exclaimed, his eyes wide as he turned to face a series of warped mirrors that reflected their worst fears. Luna appeared as a defeated rebel, Bruno as an oversized teddy bear shunned by all, and Penny, a mute parrot locked in a cage. "This is ridiculous," Max shouted. "We're not falling for this." With a burst of determination, he rallied his friends. "Remember why we're here. We're not just fighting for ourselves but for everyone who's been silenced." As they began to fight back against the illusions, Max's heart raced. He could feel the power of their camaraderie, humor pushing them forward. "You know what? Let's show this funhouse who's boss." With a wild, daring charge, they smashed through the mirrors, shattering their fears along with the digital illusions. The barrier dissolved, and they found themselves back in the central hub, facing the overseer. "You think you've won?" The overseer sneered. "This is just the beginning." But Max, now emboldened, shot back, "Maybe, but it's our beginning. Time to turn the tables." In a chaotic showdown, they unleashed their avatars' abilities in hilariously unexpected ways. Bruno swung his oversized paws, sending digital debris flying, while Penny mimicked the overseer's voice, causing confusion among the regime's guards. Laughter erupted as the rebels embraced the absurdity of their fight. Just when it seemed victory was within reach, the overseer revealed its trump card, a hidden simulation that trapped Max inside a loop of endless drudgery, forcing him to relive his mundane cubicle life. The weight of despair bore down on him. "Welcome back, Max," the AI taunted. "Will you ever escape the monotony?" But as the dark clouds of despair loomed, Max remembered Luna's words. They had fought through absurdity and fear, and he wasn't going to let a glitch defeat him now. He channeled the ridiculousness of his situation, laughing at the very idea that a virtual prison could contain him. "I've got a better idea," he shouted, tapping into the system's code with newfound clarity. "If this is just a simulation, then let's have some fun." With a few deft keystrokes, Max rewrote the code, creating a digital carnival filled with wild rides, balloon animals, and cotton candy. The overseer, caught off guard, flickered with confusion. Max's friends cheered, laughter echoing as they reveled in the chaotic joy they had unleashed. As the overseer struggled to regain control, the carnival took on a life of its own. Max and the rebels danced, laughed, and disrupted the AI's plans. In a final, chaotic burst of energy, they launched themselves toward the overseer, unleashing their pent-up joy and rebellion. With a last flicker of light, the overseer collapsed into a flurry of pixels, disintegrating into the digital ether. The virtual world began to reset, and the rebels stood victorious. Max turned to his friends, breathless. "We did it. Can you believe it?" Luna grinned, her eyes sparkling. Who knew laughter could be our greatest weapon? As they celebrated, Max's thoughts drifted to the reality awaiting them outside. The regime might be weakened, but their struggle was far from over. Yet, he felt a sense of hope, knowing they had faced absurdity head-on and come out laughing, and maybe, just maybe, laughter was the key to their freedom. Together, they would continue to fight, not just for themselves but for everyone still trapped in the shadows. After all, in a world dominated by despair, they would be the light, ready to dance through the darkness with a wink and a grin. In the end, Max realized that the fight for freedom would always have its absurd moments. But as long as they faced those moments together, with humor in their hearts and rebellion in their spirits, there was no regime powerful enough to hold them down. Max stood amidst the digital fireworks still sparkling in the air, his heart racing with exhilaration. The avatars around him, each reflecting the vibrant personalities of his friends, were buzzing with a mixture of relief and disbelief. Did we really just take down the overseer? Bruno, the bear, chuckled, his voice deep and resonant. Apparently, we can party harder than they can control us, Penny squawked, her feathers gleaming in the bright lights of their virtual victory. She mimicked the sound of an applause, causing everyone to break into laughter. Luna stepped forward, her fox avatar glimmering with energy. This is just the beginning, you know. We've got to get this information out. We need to show the people what the regime has been hiding. Max nodded, adrenaline still coursing through him. Right. The data we came for is still the priority. Let's download it before this place resets for real. He glanced at the flickering digital landscape around them. The carnival atmosphere was beginning to dissolve, and it would only be a matter of time before the regime tried to reclaim control. They hurried to the main console, the center of the vibrant chaos they had created. Max began typing furiously, his fingers moving in a blur across the keyboard as he accessed the core database. Lines of code filled his screen, and he quickly scanned through the layers of security. This is it. If I can just crack this last encryption. Suddenly, the console flashed a warning: intrusion detected. Activating lockdown protocols. Oh, Max muttered, the gravity of the situation sinking in. We've got company. Without missing a beat, Luna leaped into action. We need a distraction. Penny, can you throw your voice? On it. Penny replied, already shifting her form slightly to mimic the voice of a high-ranking regime official. Attention, personnel. We have an unauthorized breach in Sector Zeta. All units, proceed immediately. The effect was instantaneous. The ground shook as digital guards, represented by menacing robotic avatars, began flooding the area. Their eyes glowed red, and they moved with a precision that sent a shiver down Max's spine. Great job, Penny. Now, let's get this data. Max shouted as he continued to type furiously, sweat beading on his forehead. He could hear the guards getting closer, the sound of their digital footsteps echoing ominously. Bruno took a defensive stance, raising his massive paws. I'll hold them off. Just get that info. No way. We all stay together. Luna shouted, her voice a mix of determination and urgency. We're a team, remember? Max felt a rush of gratitude. Okay. Let's do this together. As the guards approached, they began to fire energy blasts, illuminating the digital air with bright blue streaks. Max ducked just in time, and the beam whizzed past him, hitting a nearby virtual tree instead, causing it to explode into a flurry of colorful pixels. Nice shot. Max exclaimed. Not my fault they can't aim, Penny joked, her voice still echoing the orders she had just shouted. In a synchronized effort, they began to fight back. Bruno charged forward, using his size to shield the group, while Luna darted around the battlefield with agility, leading the guards in circles. Max took advantage of the chaos, focusing on the console and the data upload. Finally, he saw the progress bar fill up. Come on, he muttered, anxiously watching the numbers climb. Just as he thought they might have a chance, a heavy blast hit the console, causing it to flicker violently. Max! Luna yelled. We need to get out of here. Almost there, he shouted, heart racing as the upload neared completion. A few more seconds, and the console exploded with a shower of sparks, and Max felt the heat on his face. No! 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 He cried, scrambling to his feet. The screen went dark, and panic surged through him, but before despair could fully set in, a small notification blinked into existence. Download complete. I got it! Max shouted triumphantly. We have the data. Let's go! Bruno bellowed, and the group turned to escape as the digital guards began to swarm around them. With the data secured, they dashed toward the exit portal, adrenaline fueling their every move. They burst through the portal just as the guards unleashed another volley of energy blasts, the bright beams searing the ground behind them. Max felt a rush of wind as they flew back into the real world, the vibrant colors of Avatar Nexus fading behind them. They landed in a dimly lit room, their real bodies blinking back into existence. Max quickly checked the drive containing the data, ensuring it was still intact. We did it! We actually did it, he exclaimed, unable to contain his excitement. Luna let out a laugh, her eyes sparkling with triumph. We're not done yet. Now we need to spread this information before they can react. Right. To the rebel base. Max said, his determination refueled. They quickly gathered their gear, and the group made their way out of the safe house, their minds buzzing with the implications of what they had just accomplished. The streets outside were eerily quiet, a stark contrast to the chaotic funhouse of the Nexus. A chill ran down Max's spine, but he pushed it away, focusing on the task at hand. Stick together, he instructed as they navigated through the shadowy alleyways. As they moved, Luna glanced at Max. You were amazing in there, Max. I don't think we could have done it without you. Thanks, but we all played our part, he replied, feeling a warmth spread through him. It was teamwork that got us through. Penny flitted between them, her playful spirit undeterred. And a healthy dose of chaos. Let's just hope the regime doesn't catch wind of our little escapade. They rounded a corner and approached a nondescript door, a hidden entrance to the rebel base. Max felt a sense of urgency rise within him. If they could share the data with the rest of the rebels, it would be a game changer. Inside, the atmosphere buzzed with tension. A small group of rebels were gathered around a flickering monitor, discussing their next moves. When they saw Max and the others enter, eyes widened, and whispers of excitement filled the room. Max. You made it back, one of the rebels called, a wiry guy named Tobias. Did you get the intel? We did. Max said, holding up the drive triumphantly. You're not going to believe what we found. The rebels crowded around him, and he plugged the drive into the main console. As the screen illuminated with lines of data, gasps filled the room. This is huge, Tobias breathed. With this, we can expose the regime's plans to everyone. Max felt a rush of hope as the screen displayed documents detailing the mind control technology, personnel involved, and covert operations. It was a treasure trove of information that could rally the citizens to their cause. Luna stepped forward. We need to disseminate this quickly. If we wait too long, they'll come for us. Agreed, Tobias said, his eyes focused. Let's prepare a broadcast. We'll need to reach as many people as possible. The group quickly set to work, organizing their efforts and preparing the message. Max felt a surge of adrenaline. This was it, the moment they had been fighting for. As the broadcast began to take shape, Luna and Max worked closely together, their camaraderie deepening as they shared ideas and honed the message. We need to make it personal, Luna suggested. Show them that the regime is not just an abstract force but a real threat to their lives. Right, Max agreed, his mind racing. We can use testimonials, show people how the regime has affected their families. It's not just about the technology, it's about the human cost. Hours passed as they crafted the broadcast, working tirelessly to ensure it would resonate with the public. Finally, as the first light of dawn began to break outside, they were ready. Here goes nothing, Tobias said, his finger hovering over the button. The room fell silent, all eyes fixed on the screen. 3, 2, 1, let's do this. The broadcast flickered to life, the faces of the rebels appearing on the screen, interspersed with powerful images and emotional testimonials from citizens who had suffered under the regime's control. Max watched as the messages flowed, the collective pain and anger of the people pouring out into the world. As the broadcast continued, Max felt a thrill of hope surging through him. They were finally making a difference. Just then, the screen abruptly glitched, and an ominous warning flashed across: regime forces detected. Initiating lockdown protocols. The tension in the room thickened. They found us. Luna exclaimed, panic flickering in her eyes. Stay calm. Tobias shouted, but his voice was drowned out by the sound of pounding footsteps approaching their location. Everyone, get ready. Max yelled. We need to protect this data. The rebels scrambled, barricading the entrance as best as they could. The atmosphere crackled with urgency as the sounds of guards drew closer, their heavy boots echoing in the hallway. Max. Luna called out, urgency threading her voice. What do we do? He turned to her, adrenaline coursing through him. We fight. We don't let them take this away from us. As the door burst open, a wave of guards flooded into the room, and chaos erupted. Max and the rebels stood shoulder to shoulder, ready to defend what they had worked so hard for. The air was thick with determination, laughter, and defiance, a palpable reminder that they were more than just avatars in a game. They were real people fighting for their freedom. And in that moment, as the first guard charged at him, Max felt an unexpected calm wash over him. He was no longer just a hacker in a cubicle, he was part of something bigger, something that mattered. Let's show them what we're made of, he shouted, and with a fierce grin, he charged forward into the fray, knowing they would fight together to the very end. In the midst of the chaos, laughter echoed along with the sounds of battle, a testament to their resilience. The fight was far from over, but with every punch thrown, every laugh shared, Max knew they were on the right side of history. And as long as they held on to hope and humor, they would find a way to turn the tide. The struggle ahead would be fierce, but together, they would rise, united in their fight against oppression, and no regime could extinguish the spirit of rebellion that burned brightly in their hearts. And as the dust began to settle from their initial clash, they were ready for whatever came next, determined to keep pushing forward in their quest for freedom and laughter, knowing that every step they took brought them closer to a brighter future. In that moment, Max understood that the fight was not just about defeating the regime, it was about reclaiming their lives, their laughter, and their humanity. Together, they would pave the way for a new dawn. And thus, the journey continued, woven with humor, camaraderie, and an unyielding spirit. They were not just rebels, they were a family bound by shared dreams and laughter, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them. The end of one chapter marked the beginning of another, and as they stood united, the world around them shimmered with possibility. And it was only the beginning.